There are no Chow in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. 0 out of 10. The movie was pretty good, decent family comedy, fun adventure and stuff, but the lack of representation made Joey sad. Therefore, 0 out of 10. It makes Joey sad. I am standing up so you can see that I have a BMC poster in my game room. On purpose.
In case you're new around here, BMC Studio is a Canadian game development studio run by Alain Lagasse? Never had to say his last name before. Anyway, who makes video games out of live-action cutscenes starring his friends, though some would argue that calling them games is charitable. Many of them are more akin to YouTube sketches that stop 3 or 4 times to give you a choice of what happens next. Given that BMC started while Alain was in high school, the games are marked by juvenile humor and are of, shall we say, wildly varying quality. While I started out hating on BMC for making terrible games, I eventually found a respect for Alain and his craft, mainly because the dude is always trying to improve, while a lot of other Steam indies just crap into their own hands and throw it onto the store. I do unironically like a few of BMC's games. I'd say which ones, but that's what the playlist on my channel is for. Unfortunately, according to Alain's Twitter feed, he's fallen on some rough times. He dropped out of college to further pursue game development right before a new Steam algorithm completely tanked his sales, and to hear him tell it, has collapsed his business. And that sucks because Alain is a good guy who's maybe just made a few bad decisions, and I'd like the history of BMC Studios to have a happy ending. I quit covering BMC games for a while because I was paranoid of them taking over my channel, and now they've got 6 titles out that I haven't covered. But since one of their games is explicitly parodying the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie, or since this came out in November 2019, the Sonic movie's first trailer, we might as well start there for some search engine optimization. So let's play Sanic the Hawtdawg the movie the game 2.1 Electric Boogaloo 2.2 version 4 the Squeakquel VHS edition Director's Cut Special Edition the musical and Knuckles. And yes, that is the game's full title. First order of business, Alain decided to give the game a filter that tints the screen gray and adds a ton of flickers to emulate a really old VHS tape. For the record, here's current footage from the Toy Story 2 VHS that I watched all the damn time as a kid. Guess I just take better care of my stuff. You can turn off the filter once you've beaten the game, and now I'm torn between leaving the filter on so you can see how annoying it is, and leaving it off so this video doesn't make your eyeballs bleed. And yes, keep in mind this entire video that I played through this twice.
Yes.
Also, BMC has evolved! They remembered to add a quit button to the game's menu! Now they just need to add a quit button that works! The game begins with a kinda charmingly no-budget intro and a bit of narration.
Our story begins in the small town of New York, where a princess by the name of Princess Peach was living in a nice big small castle near Walmart.
How is it possible that the text-to-speech narrator is vastly funnier and more charismatic than most of the characters in BMC's other games?
Out of nowhere a fucking spaceship landed in her backyard. It was amazing. Believe me, it had like flames on it, and an alien came out of it. His name was Sanic the Hawtdawg.
I like how the ship just flies away, as if to imply they were dumping Sanic there to be rid of him.
I'm Sanic, bitch, and I come from the planet Cool Planet 05.
And that's how our story begins, ladies and gentlemen, and trans people and bigender people and asexual people and whatever the fuck you are.
Sanic immediately asks Peach out on a date, and the man's tact is impeccable.
I'm Sanic the hot dog. Now shut the fuck up and come eat a hot dog with me.
It is then left to you whether or not that's a penis metaphor.
No.
I don't even know what happens next. She accepts, only for him to turn her down, and they take turns saying cool beans.
Beans?
Cool!
Beans.
Cool!
Beans.
Beans!
Peach asks Sanic to marry her on the spot, but Sanic declines since they haven't had sex yet. And then you pick something nonsensical for Peach to say.
I love the smell of smell.
I love the smell of smell too.
Is this what going insane feels like? Just for the record, Elaine's Sanic costume is a bright blue onesie with a hoodie and built-in gloves, face paint to look like Sonic's huge eyes, and spiky hair made out of scrunched up tinfoil. And it still looks better than the Silent Hill Sonic from the first trailer. Elaine finds a sheet of paper with an image of some hot dogs on it, and they decide to have lunch. Eat the paper. Eat the paper. It can't taste any worse than what you fixed on the cooking show in Unfriended. Ah, drat. I'm not gonna lie, most of the game is just watching these two babble inane bullshit at each other with long, awkward pauses between their lines, so it's emphasized extra hard that they're not having a real conversation. It's not even funny non sequiturs like some of their other games, it's just empty babble. Peach says this isn't her house, only it is. They stop to shoot footage of their pet dog at random intervals, and a lot of lines just don't have anything to do with anything, often for something vaguely resembling a goof. The camera will zoom really far into the actor, and at one point they just straight up punch Elaine's girlfriend in the face with the camera.
Really?
And yes, Peach, so far as I know, is played by Elaine's actual girlfriend, and that will become somewhat tragic in a minute. Something mildly amusing eventually happens when Elaine pulls out a picture of a lighter and rubs it over the hot dog paper to cook them. It's funny because it looks like masturbating, and it goes on for a full 50 seconds. Then they dick around some more, with Peach being allergic to hot dogs, so they kiss and she starts to die until Sanic punches her in the face a few times, which somehow saves her life. And this is all interspersed with them playing with the dog some more. At least someone's having fun with this game. Okay, there's got to be some way that this is all secretly funny that I'm not getting, because it feels like I'm watching comedy get murdered. Maybe this is a parody of Sonic coming to Earth and doing something mundane since the awful design was based on realism? Is it a spoof of all those pornographic Sonic fanfics, or the infamous romance with a teenage girl in Sonic 06? Is it a spoof of bad Sonic games in general? Or are they spoofing Super Seducer, the cringe-inducing dating simulators? You gotta give me something here! At some point, Sanic declares that they're headed to the Batcave, and they spoof the shots of Sonic running from the first trailer. Just keep in mind, they were in the middle of the street, just like this, in public, in broad daylight. That takes guts. And now for the visage that shall haunt your nightmares.
I'm the legal age to have sex. Do you want to suck my pee-pee? Suck my pee-pee, suck my pee-pee, suck my pee-pee, 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 suck pee-pee, suck pee-pee. I'm the legal age to have sex. Do you want to suck my pee-pee?
Oh, glory, you can have Peach say no, or you can have her say nope. That's another good point. As is tradition in BMC games, the action stops every now and then so you can make a choice of what happens next. Except while prior, BMC games would have the choices affect punchlines, play alternate scenes, or give you instant game overs. Here, the choices literally only impact 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. At times just 1 word, and then the rest of the game plays out exactly the same. So for BMC's detractors, this has even less claim to game status than usual. Oh crap, I took a detour. What's going on in the main plot again?
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
Ah, right, nothing. Sanic eventually states that he's here to destroy the planet, which Peach is totally on board with, probably because it'll mean ending the game sooner. And then Peach tricks Sanic into shitting on the floor. Pictured, Elaine in the process of producing another game script. Then Peach lures Sanic into a shed to introduce him to Minecraft, but she just shows him footage of the BMC game The Jekkus, and then something really friggin' uncomfortable happens.
At least it's not a BMC game.
I heard they are going out of business.
Not if this game sells well.
Let's hope it does.
I sure hope too. I don't want a beautiful game creator to become a low salary employee after dropping of college for making games full time. Haha.
Did he save any money?
No, he's way too dumb to do that.
He's a piece of shit.
Fact.
This is super awkward.
Then out of nowhere, an egg with Dr. Robotnik's face drawn on it appears, which Peach just smashes on a table. I guess this convinces Sanic not to destroy the Earth and to marry Peach, which entails, yeah, another brilliant adventure game choice.
Suck my pee-pee.
One of Sanic's many pleas for a blowjob results in Peach pointing out that he doesn't have a dick, which... yeah, Ken dolls have more to work with than Sonic does. Even if Sonic has a dick, there's a lot of fur down there you'd have to go through to find it.
I will use this on you if you don't do everything I want.
I'd like to point out that BMC's Kimulator games that I developed a fondness for have a plot where a teen is sent to North Korea to assassinate Kim Jong-un, only to get betrayed because the general who sent him there was a time-displaced Hitler who needed them both out of the way to take over the world, so then he time travels to Nazi Germany and infiltrates a concentration camp by defeating a Nazi in a bottle-flipping contest to kill Hitler. How did we get from there to here? They get some paper ice cream that Sanic pulls from his, I guess, mangina, as Peach tells Sanic to go back to his homeworld, except he can't for reasons that are literally gibberish.
I can't really do anything to make my friends feel like a peanut butter jelly sandwiches.
And I can't bake with cherry concentrate without it tasting like cough medicine. What's your point? And then we have another really unfortunate bit of writing, given that Elaine's girlfriend left him sometime after this game was released.
I don't like you. You don't do anything. It's not alive.
I'm getting depressed now. These nonsense games started as a bunch of friends goofing off and having fun, and as bad as they were, there was an innocence and sense of wonder and joy to them. And this is more like sitting in a dark room wondering where your life went so wrong.
It's almost like we're in a BMC Studio game that he wrote at 7 a.m. because he couldn't fucking sleep.
That explains a lot. And then Peach and Sanic have sex. And then you decide whether to have a good ending or a bad ending. Honestly, Peach's accent is so thick that I can't really tell what happens in either ending. The bad ending I could make out just enough that I think Peach is making them opening a clothing store or something.
Sanic, I know your friends' tales count on you, but here I run a stricter hustle.
What do you mean?
That will run an independent clothes shop in Bournemouth, and we will trade on the internet whatever you and your friends think about it.
No.
And the good ending, I just have no idea. I must have listened to this 6 times, still can't figure out what it is.
I gotta say, Sanic, the body may perhaps compensate for the loss of a true metaphysic.
Where do these random thoughts come from?
The pedestrian array bubbles with the pretended garbage.
This is inspiring.
I know.
It feels like this video was just me recapping what happened in a crappy cutscene instead of an actual review, but I've got nothing else to work with here. We watch 2 people with no chemistry because they're filming their scenes separately talk about nothing for 25 minutes, and it ends. Even discussing this game feels like kicking a man when he's down, but jeepers was this rough to sit through. I think the most laughs I got were out of the narrator at the start, with a few tiny chuckles at a few brief moments of weirdness afterwards. You don't even have the replay value of checking to see what the different choices do, since every choice does the same thing, and you can't skip any of the game's cutscenes. Plus, I can't stress enough how annoying the VHS filter over the graphics is on your first run. The only thing worse than being bored is being bored while your eyes scream. I am very familiar with the idea of watching something ironically so you can laugh at the awfulness. I own copies of Food Fight and Space Thunder Kids for that exact reason. You don't really get that out of just watching 2 people talk. Even with other BMC games that I didn't like, I at least got the joke. Jeku's was an ambitious animation personal project for Elaine. AIDS Moji was the show that cast just hanging out and shooting the shit. Real Life Battle Royale was a very targeted parody that was just misaimed in my opinion. And Sexy Comedy was an attempt at branching out that was wildly backfired. Apart from the bizarrely uncomfortable bits where Elaine laments his struggling business and his soon-to-be ex calls him a piece of shit, I don't really grasp the thesis of Sanic the Hawtdawg, other than the passive joke of Mark I's movie Sonic being ugly, which they do nothing with. I suppose the comedy could just be above my wee peon head, but given that the primary joke of the game is the main character chanting "suck my pee-pee," I kinda doubt it. I just wish the hell that BMC could turn things around, and granted I have 5 other backlogged games to try out, but I really don't see Sanic being the game that does that. Like, at all.
Do you want to suck my pee-pee?